Hey everybody. So let's talk a little bit about how can you stop people pleasing without the guilt that often is associated with that. I was working with some clients just the other day on this. And one of the first reframes that I want to give you is that if you were to think about people pleasing, what's really happening is I'm trying to manage somebody else's experience. I'm trying to help keep them comfortable. And we're here to learn and grow. I am here to stretch myself. I'm here to lean into discomfort. And so if I have somebody in my life that is placating me, people pleasing, etc., that's actually not helping me. So that is the first reframe, is just to remember that you're not actually giving the person the opportunity to experience the fullness that they need to experience in life. You're actually also not even giving them the opportunity to show you who they really are or to discover who they really are beyond the comfort if you're in that. If you can just sit with that for a minute and realize that, yeah, that is exactly what I'm doing when I'm in that people-pleasing mode, it may help you kind of relax into it a little bit more and be a little more comfortable veering away from that. And to elaborate on that a little bit, if you can think about it from this perspective as well, when you are in people-pleasing mode, are you really being authentic to you? If they are constantly getting a version of you that is just the safe version, but not the real version, then that's not really an aligned energy for either one of you, even though it may feel better in the short term. So while it may seem like you're driving on this smooth pavement, going through that process, really what's happening is there are these roots underneath the pavement that are starting to lift up, and eventually they will lift up and crack the foundation. Another thing that I was sharing with my daughter, because, she's had these experiences where she's been in the middle of friendships and she wanted to be friends with both, but the other two didn't want her to be friends with the other one. And so she got into a little bit of this people pleasing. Okay, I'll please you here now, and then I'll placate you here. And that didn't feel good to her. And what I was sharing with her, she's 9 now, so there's time to work through all that. But into your adulthood, what happens is there's a lack of respect that starts to form, because if you're not being authentic, and people don't necessarily even know it, but there's this energetic respect that starts to erode. So how does this all play out in relationships? Because obviously we have people that we love, that we care about, and it doesn't mean that you have to be hard about something. You can start with just the energy of being true, respecting yourself and respecting that person, respecting that bigger picture, that longer vision that you want to build together. All right, so another point is you are taking responsibility for somebody else's experience in life. You're trying to manage somebody else's experience, and that's not your responsibility, and that's draining. So if you can just tap into the reality that my responsibility is to be true. My responsibility is to be clear. My responsibility is to be respectful. My responsibility is not to manage your reactions. It is not your responsibility to manage how somebody processes something, or how they react to something, or how long it takes them to process something. So when you take that on, you're carrying other people's loads. Again, that's depleting, that's draining, that's not fulfilling ultimately. So we all need to see, feel, go through things that may feel uncomfortable. And they may be big things, or they may be those little day-to-day things. And that is an important part of our growth experience as a human in this life. And if you can remember that discomfort is not bad, being uncomfortable actually can lead to great and amazing things. As a matter of fact, think of an experience where something felt a little uncomfortable. You really had to kind of push through it. How did you feel after you got through it? How much joy did you experience, or fulfillment, or confidence, or pride? How did you feel at the end of that, going through that? Well, us leaning into discomfort is important. That is really, 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 really invaluable, as a matter of fact. So why would you take that away from other people. We're really interrupting something that they need to see, to feel, to be a part of, to experience. We're interrupting the opportunity that is in front of them. What they do with that is up to them. But our part is not to take away from that opportunity. And the guilt that can be associated, just remember that when you are feeling guilty about making a change, like if you're starting to lean into, yeah, you know what? Okay, I'm going to practice this, Sondra. Just remember that that guilt can come from simply just the energy of I'm doing something different that feels counter to what I'm used to. So rather than identifying with that guilt like you're doing something wrong, or rather than accepting someone else's energy at you and receiving the guilt that they may be trying to put upon you, just remind yourself of this and say, you know, this is going to feel uncomfortable for me right now. And this is part of it. If your habit is to people please, this is going to feel uncomfortable. So rewind and remind yourself everything I was just sharing, that that's okay. That guilt is like, okay, cool. Associate that with, oh, I'm pushing myself a little bit. I'm stretching myself a little bit. I'm expanding. I'm learning. I'm growing in this process too. So just remember, final thought, connection, real, deep, authentic connection comes from you being true first. You being true. Simple as that. And let it all unfold from there.